Awesome. What is going on? Thanks for stopping by today. It's been a long day for sure, but we're going to be diving into building a creator community. I'll let the guests introduce themselves, but we got a lot to cover, from both creating an NFT to empowering your community to create around products, NFTs, content, and more. But before we dive in, let's get some introductions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rex, co-founder of Magic Eden and chief engineer. Used to run like Candy Machine and Candy Machine derivatives and onboard like thousands of creators and collections to the Solana platform. Thank you, guys.
Sick. My name is Max. I'm the founder of Sniper.xyz. We love the creators. We recently became a marketplace, so we've been helping a lot with creators and building great projects, and we also work with content creators when it comes to kind of helping grow our brand. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you guys for attending.
Cool. And I'm Kais, co-founder of OK Bears, and I remember both of your platforms going bananas when we minted. Yeah, looking forward to the chat.
No, absolutely. So there's a lot to cover and a lot of things that I really want to start with here as well. So I mean, starting with Rex, with Magic Eden, I've been back in the NFT space, in the marketplace, since Magic Eden was a small fish in a small pond, and now obviously it is a whale in the small pond of Solana NFTs. What have you kind of seen from this shift in time when it comes to creators, both on the NFT side and even what you guys have done from a creator perspective? You guys do articles, videos, multiple blockchains. So I'm real curious what that journey has kind of looked like, specifically from creator support.
Yeah, creators is always the central of what we're doing. And I think if I need to name one thing that actually make Magic Eden the Magic Eden, I would say it's the creator and launchpad product that we actually spearhead and launch that as the very first primary product across all the blockchains. And Solana is actually the first to deliver that. And I'm really, really proud that we actually had the dedication, spent a lot of effort, and delivered that. And I still remember the very first launchpad experience. I actually did that because I need to upload the assets from my disk, because I literally get a Google Drive shareable link from the creators. It's really white glove service. So I need to go ahead, upload those images to IPFS. It's not reliable. It took like 3 to 4 days, actually, because you need to retry a lot of rate limiting. I think you still remember the early days. You need to try all different kind of IPFS providers, like Pinata or Inferior. It's a whole lot mess to manage. But look at now it's like really easy for creators to spin up, like upload their images to RVNet. IPFS is way better. NFT storage. It's getting a lot better. And this journey, I think, as a Magic Eden platform, we also iterate a lot during this journey. So I would say creating the primary product is really what defines Magic, because that we realize the growth flywheel is kind of the supply growth drives the demand growth. And we actually unlock that, and we were still kind of like going deep in that path. Yeah.
100%. And I mean, Matt, so the question here for you is, seeing you go from analytics and data on NFTs specifically, a lot of that is tough to kind of conceptualize for some people. So what has led to you to focus on creators to help get more eyes on a platform that's emerging in a market that's also emerging?
Right. I think for Sniper, when we started, we were not focused on creators at all. We were just like, let's code stuff, like we don't really care about non-engineering things, and let's just focus on the traders. And then kind of as we've grown and evolved and like added more features and recently launched our own marketplace, it's actually like similar to what Rex was saying, is we've realized that creators are actually the most important part of the flywheel. Like for a market and like a healthy market, you need two sides. So kind of like the way I kind of think about it is like our job is really to bring buyers and sellers together. And if there's no sellers, well then like you don't have a market. And then when the pendulum swings, so I remember, so before we were a marketplace, there was the whole shift to no creator royalties. So literally 1 year ago today, I remember Jack was on stage talking about like the creator royalties and how it's a big problem and we need to fix it. Well, the reason why it's a big problem is because without creators, there's no assets to buy, and the royalties were really the biggest incentive for them to actually continue producing what they were producing in terms of NFTs. And so that's kind of where we are and what we found over the last 3 months working with way more projects than we've ever worked with. It's actually helped us actually grow a lot. Like that's when we'll actually see actual spikes in our volume and our traffic. So it's been a blessing to get to work with all of these like talented people. And then I think, you know, our unique angle is like with a lot of creators, like they're really great at kind of creating their community and creating like their unique assets and things like that. They're not so great at maybe kind of like the data infrastructure or the analytics. And so that's been an area where we've actually been able to really help them out. So like one creator that we worked with really recently, they said, okay, we just minted out. We want to understand like what the wallets are doing. Can you guys give us some like spreadsheets and things like that? And that's super easy for us because we spent so much time, like 2 years basically, just focused on like literally parsing every NFT transaction as accurately as and as quickly as possible.
No, and I think that's a big part of it too. The data side, getting that information into a creator's hands, whether it's the NFT creator, whether it's letting somebody create content around it to get more eyes on it, and streamlining that helps bolster that community side of things, really increase it, get that flywheel spinning. But speaking of creators that are not just NFTs, an ecosystem that has creators within your community to get more eyes on the NFTs. We've seen Kais and OK Bears absolutely dominate this. I see the GMs every day, basically automated at this point, new with X's support to just publish links without the link itself. It looks much smoother. Kais, what's it been like to get your community to create content for OK Bears and almost drive the entirety of the marketing side of things as this creator community?
Yeah, I think, I mean, us as creators, there's like two layers, like you said, backstage. You know, you've got us creating the NFTs, and then we've got the creators using the NFTs to create other things. And really, we're all just, you know, running a bunch of experiments. I was quite surprised with the continued usage of those GM links, and really thankful, you know, to X for actually making it look just like an image, because the biggest complaint was it looks like a link, nobody wants to interact with it. I think the biggest secret is really just to make the product about the user themselves. And I think if you go all the way back to, you know, why OK Bears was successful, you know, flying out the gates, is because people were able to see themselves in these bears. You know, in terms of what they were dressed like, they were just, you know, your average Joe, whether it's a T-shirt or a normal suit. You know, there's no circus clowns, there's no mythical characters. Just like, again, it's OK as in basic. And what ended up happening is people started associating that with their identity, allowing, you know, like the OK Bears community to sit, I don't know, 10/9 on NFT Inspect regularly. I think really it is just about continuing to give people tools so that you can empower them to build their digital identity through the product that you're creating. And so you really kind of get all the different layers of the conversation, except for the actual NFT user that maybe should be sitting right there. But maybe I'll speak on their behalf, because a year and a half later, and now we're developing, you know, new IP, new characters, and I'm looking at all of like the new shiny stuff, and I'm thinking I'm never gonna have any of that as my identity. Like I'm going to keep my bear, and it's because it's molded around me. I use it to express, you know, certain things. And so moving forward with those, you know, with those links and with the 3 platforms that we're working on, it's just about getting more and more tools into the hands of people, but also make it seamless. So like with the GM link, the holders don't really need to do anything. You go inside, click a button, and then it generates an image. It'll share one of your bears either holding something or doing something. And so it's super easy and streamlined and keeps that touch point going. And on data, I mean, it is an emerging market within an emerging market, but we still have around 550 daily active users that visit, the platform and do the GMs. And what that allows us to do is to be like, okay, yes, things might be a little bit quiet, but now it's about making 550 users happy rather than rewarding 10,000 NFTs, because that's a completely different metric. So now it's like, okay, you've got your 500 super fans. How can you stick by them? How can you give them tools? How can you keep them happy until, the numbers make them happier?
No, and I think that's spot on. I like the fact that you mentioned the super fan side of things, because it really is something that I think a lot of people overlook, is when you look at a content funnel and a creator funnel and where it starts, it's like the curious, the supporters, the advocates, that kind of funnel down. And that kind of pivots me into my next question here is, when it comes to this ecosystem that we participate in, and specifically with the creator side of things, which is NFT creators, content creators, consumers, traders, you name it, that's a creator in a sense. So starting with Rex here, I am curious, what's been one of the most difficult things over the last 2 years that you've really seen from the creator side, troubleshooting, working with them, and figuring out what that best path forward is, especially in a wild market like it is?
I think the biggest challenge is how can we figure out a really innovative way to help the creators to grow their revenue and incentivize more creators to join this space. That is the most challenging thing. I don't want to dive too deep into the royalty topic. Sure. It's really controversial, but I think royalty is, from the very beginning of the journey of Magic Eden, we are pro-creators, we're pro-creator royalties. I know there's some of the pendulum about the decision of creator royalties, but we are actually the first to support Metaplex, like the PNFT standard. And then after that, Solana is the first blockchain that actually a year ahead of EVM ecosystems to practically solve the royalty situation. I think that is kind of the state of art of creator royalty, and that really helped, I think, more and more creators to join Solana space. But then we are also thinking, hey, how can we innovate? Is there any way that we can create some new way to help creators, traders, and also the platform to be in a win-win-win situation? So recently we came up with a product, actually a compliant entertainment product called Lucky Buy. It was I think during the history of NFT, it was one of the most revenue generating and royalty collecting product for creators. It generated over, I think, 8,000 so within the first few months of the launch, because it's actually helping to enforce the royalties all during the Lucky Buy process. And it lowers the barrier of entry for the collectors to jump into this space. At the same time, it brings the magic and fun back to the NFT ecosystem. I think it's a really good, awesome product, and I really like a lot of creators are enjoying that and engaging with their communities. I do see a lot of people share their enjoyment about winning something on Twitter. So I think figure out a really innovative way of incentivize more creators join Web3 is the most challenging problems that we're facing right now. Yeah.
And it's certainly a trial and error period where you see what works, double down on it, focus more on what works, and what doesn't work and move on from it. I like that you also mentioned something there around, you see the excitement that people have when they win that Lucky Buy. It's what you see on X, it's what you see in Discord when somebody wins. And that is a flywheel in itself from a creator standpoint. They create content around it, they get excited, they post about it, share it, and more people participate. But I guess the same question for you, Max, would be, what's been the most difficult thing working with creators for projects of all sizes, or even creators to try to get more eyes on Sniper?
Yeah, I think definitely the most fulfilling part for us is literally helping them build and solve hard problems, right? So there's been a few projects that we've worked with that we were able to help them solve staking, for example, using some of our APIs. And another project that I don't want to leak their announcement or anything, but like we're basically helping them make their game more like in-game. So like those kinds of like out-of-game functionality that you would typically go to a marketplace or an aggregator, now you can do all of those things within the game itself. So that's definitely been like one of the, like, at least for me, the most fulfilling part of actually helping these creators is not, like, I don't think at Sniper we're in a position like Magic Eden where we can really focus on like generating tons of revenue for these creators. And I'm really glad that we have really smart people like Rex helping solve that problem. For us, it's more like, okay, like we're great, like engineering, data, like type of firm, like how can we empower the creators in the ways that we're very good at as well. I also wanted to bring up a point that I think, Rex, you might have forgotten to mention is like Magic Eden was actually also the first protocol to launch a royalty protocol. And we actually were also the first like aggregator tool to like support that one. So I think I just wanted to give credit where it's due in terms of like Magic Eden has always been a very like pro-creative firm and like launching things like the royalty protocol, even though it's not now the like, well, I don't know if you guys still like use it. I don't think so anymore. Now I think it's in, we all like kind of agreed to use the PNFT standard, but I think like together we're able to really help these creators in terms of like building cool things, creating value, and also extracting value from the cool things that they're creating.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's the biggest thing. I like that you did mention it. It was even interesting to hear that it was more of a collaborative effort to determine we're all going to side with the PNFT support versus the Magic Eden contract, which had launched briefly during that period, because of course the royalty situation was chaos for everybody on all sides of the creator conversation. But guys, what's been one of the most difficult things as a creator participating in this, from establishing a community and also trying to foster growth within the project for more creators to help get eyes and visibility?
The first one is the whole royalty situation, and I think I just want to shout out again, like the entire Solana ecosystem for actually coming together from all different parts and fixing the problem really quickly. Like you look at, you know, Ethereum at the moment, and you're still seeing that there's not really any coming together. You know, from our side, from the creator side, when royalties came off the table, we kind of created this thing called your Founders Council, and then we got, you know, every founder from every project in a little Telegram group, and we just started chatting. And then when the Metaplex standard popped up, they joined us, and it was completely, like, it was an open conversation from all sides. It did get a little bit tricky once we went to the execution, because this takes me to my second answer. It was at the time where people started asking more difficult questions of NFT collections, which is, hang on a second, why should I actually give you a cut of the sale? What are you doing to, you know, to benefit me going forward? And what we've seen with kind of like royalties disappearing and the volume dwindling down a little bit, and the excitement going away, you know, it's pushing innovation with the lucky buy. But what we've seen is people are a lot more selective now in terms of what they pick up. You know, like a year ago, a new mint, you know, pops up tomorrow, we're all going, you know, haywire on it. But at the moment, it's like, okay, where am I putting my investment? Why am I buying this, you know, this piece of IP, and where to from here? I think for us, probably the most challenging part of the entire thing is that we created a brand that had a lot of guardrails. And that's because of the kind of the potential to license, specifically in the you know, PG or like, you know, family-friendly sector. So where I think there's a little bit of a clash is if you choose to use an OKBear as your profile picture, there are certain things that don't match the brand identity that actually inhibit you. And if I'm completely honest, I think the vast majority of the creator economy in the space actually finds that a little bit inhibiting. I think one excellent example is Jakey and Mad Lads, and it's kind of like a match made in heaven. And you can see just how much Jake actually carries that brand just by using the profile picture and making his content around it. So I do think that's probably where it's like the product market fit, I'll probably say, has been the, you know, the most challenging, and that's why, you know, we're creating, you know, we're just looking at the entire ecosystem and thinking, okay, we managed to capture this much of the target market. What can we build for the other target market to be able to identify themselves with products that we create? It's an answer that we haven't gotten to yet, but we're currently exploring.
Yeah, and that almost makes me want to ask this next question, which is around the content from a creator standpoint and a creator community. So right back to you, where does content creators fit into your community and what will eventually be the follow-up question into their products?
I mean, they definitely are at the forefront because they are the first line of communication when it comes to communicating what we're doing, because X puts you in this bit of an echo chamber that becomes a little bit circular, but your creators or your holders that choose to use these characters as their identities, they're breaking through that wall, whether it's into other communities or outside of Web3 altogether. So let's, for example, let's say you love the NBA and you're using an NFT as your profile picture, but when you go and comment on, I don't know, you're pissed off at the Lakers, then there's a whole new audience that is going to look at that profile picture, interact with it, and have no idea what it's about. So I would kind of step back and say, you don't have to be as prolific as Jakey in terms of making videos that are hitting the masses. Your tweets are also creations. Your memes are also creations. Your activity, all of it is creation. And I think without them, we would all just be screaming in a void, because you're creating these products, whether they're tech products or whether they're digital identity products. And if people don't choose to use them and rep them, then they go nowhere. I think the next step would be to get to a place where holders are confident enough or happy enough to use that in other forms of social media, because I think that's the biggest barrier at the moment. We all hide these things on Twitter, but really the world is on TikTok and Instagram and beyond. And I think the next phase is going to dictate how people carry themselves through. There's also this massive debate on whether people want to rep NFT collections, and that really denies creators like us from that second layer of going forward. So you're thinking, okay, what is it about this that used to resonate a year and a half ago that maybe isn't resonating now? And what do I need to create to continue to allow people to feel that they can be represented by this thing?
No, and I think that's a big thing too, and it will be a follow-up question about what the future state kind of looks like. But Max, to you, same question would be, where do you see content creators fitting into exposure for the product, exposure for the space, and how do you either amplify or work alongside them to help get messages out, updates out? What does that really look like for Sniper?
Oh yeah, we have a lot going on with that, but I just really wanted to ask Kai a question as well, because you're kind of talking about like getting into like non-crypto Twitter. One thing I have noticed is Lonzo Ball rocks his OK Bear. He has like 2 million like Instagram followers, and this whole time he's been rocking it. And I'm just really curious like what that conversation was like. Like, how did you get Lonzo Ball to rock it? It's on his Twitter and Instagram.
That there was no conversation. I'll tell like a 1-minute story. So
yeah.
The team at Air are just delightful people.
Which team?
At Air. So Air is the team that manages Lonzo's Web3 experiences, and with them the conversation was, if you allow us to use his name, we're going to auction the Lonzo Ball Bear, and then we'll just give all the funds to him, and he can do whatever he wants with it. And I think there was nothing in the contract that asked him to even rep it for a single day or for a duration. And so the fact that and he's one of the more active NBA players on Instagram. He posts a story every single day.
I know. That's
and every single day he pops up, and I'm like, this is just awesome. But he's never spoken about it. He's never given it context. And I'm kind of like scared to kind of poke him. So it's pretty cool that people are seeing this bear. But I genuinely think that it's not just about like that celebrity status, because we need our people to show their conviction to the product in the real world. But I think for Lonzo, he was quite picky about the bear, so we had to draw the tattoos exactly as they were. He wanted the necklace to be like, and so after all of that was done, I just think he genuinely just likes what it looks like and what it's enabled him to do. And he didn't really need the funds, but to be able to renovate that basketball court back in his hometown school, it's just like there's a lot of feelings, and I think that's what's kept him using it. It's that, like, again, the emotional attachment, and he probably just really loves the art.
Yeah, dude, because that was like the coolest thing to me, at least, is like seeing an OK Bear like penetrate the mainstream media. Like, I bet you could probably talk to him. Like, I think he's still injured. Like, I don't think he's doing too much. But yeah, I just wanted to ask that because
I mean, I love it.
I've always wondered, like, why is Lonzo Ball still rocking the OK Bears? But yeah, dude, it looks sick.
Well, it's great too when you look at like an ESPN post that's mentioned him. You just had Stephen A, of course, bring up his injury, right. And when they showed his response tweet, it was an OK Bear on ESPN of his tweet, and like, there's no better marketing, man. You know, like people are obviously curious. It's that funnel we just talked about previously, where they're curious, see that, want to know what it is, and then even a 0.1% conversion is more than there was previously. Taking a look from a net new perspective,
I really do think the one thing that is a little bit different, because Tobias Harris has an OK Bear. The Mountain from Game of Thrones has an OK Bear, but they bought it. I think with Lonzo, it's a little bit more pure because he was kind of gifted it with no expectations, and I think that possibly gives you a stronger bond because all the other celebrities are no longer rocking an OK Bear, and then you've got Lonzo just chilling with one.
Yeah. It's an emotional attachment is exactly what it is, and that's a large part of the whole creator aspect that we've talked about through the entirety of this conversation is emotion evoking content from creators, develops communities, leads to this whole kind of path. But Maz, I did want to get back to that question. Yeah. How do you lean on content creators? Obviously, you saw the OK Bear content from Lonzo, which evoked emotion out of you.
So
but
cool.
How do you then help and lean into this side of the space to get people also excited about the product that you've built?
Yeah, definitely. I think like at least with the content creators we work with, it's a lot focused on trader type content. So like we've worked with tons of like active traders in the space, such as like you, Jared, Salami Mommy, and like Poco now, Noon, like tons of traders. I think for us, it's kind of like we like to try to find people that just genuinely like the product and kind of have a voice in the space. And then like a lot of our things, like we're not like paying for them or anything. We're just like, yo, do you want to like rock a badge and be a brand ambassador and like show off our product? And like, it's kind of a win-win where they're getting that exposure from us. Like very early on with some of these content creators, like I run the Twitter account personally. I was like, I'll make sure like if like, cause Sniper, we'd have like 10K followers, right? And then like there would be like an up and coming content creator with like 800 followers or whatever. But I was like, okay, this is good shit. Like you're posting charts, like, like you're kind of doing some highbrow analysis that I don't think I could do. So I'll make sure that every time you post something, I'll retweet it. And just kind of those like, it's small things, but it's like mutually symbiotic where they're putting out content that pertains to our product, while at the same time like we're able to promote the content creators themselves, and then help them in all kinds of different ways as well that go like beyond just like the stuff that you might see on Twitter, right? Like then after working more closely with some of these like traders, right, they might say, oh, hey, we want to like have this feature, and then boom, like let's go do it. Or like in your case with the Bodagos project, we're like, oh, hey, like let's, like mint 100 Bodagos and like raffle them away to like traders. So it was one of those things where I think it's opened up a lot for us in terms of helping us grow the product, but at the same time, like the best part is actually giving back to the creators in like as much ways as we possibly can.
No, and I love that. And I think that's I like the word that you use, symbiotic there, because it really is a two-way street where you retweet someone with 800 followers to a 10K audience. It's more exposure for them. They view that right back to the emotion-evoking content. They feel like they just got to win. Now they want to do it again.
Definitely.
Talked about the flywheel at the very start. That's exactly what it is. It's a true flywheel aspect of content creation, viewpoints, growth, exposure, and it really leads to this positive aspect for all parties involved. So Rex, it then comes to you, because I've seen Magic Eden go from no content from a creator standpoint on the page in the marketplace and everything that you've now done to video content, articles daily, a community and emotion evoking content from even some of the most recent stuff with your collect crypt drop with the Pokemon cards, where you even had your own mascot and icon involved in this. What's that process kind of been like from the start to present day from a creator standpoint?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually wanted to categorize like content generation or content creation into 3 stages.
Please.
The first stage will be like at the technical technology phase, and then the second stage will be distribution. right? You focus on distribution. And the third stage may be cultural, right?
Yep.
You actually make a culture, make a code like following the content. So at the very beginning days, like 2 years ago, technology is still a really like high barrier for a lot of creators. And many creators need to learn, I forgot the name of the tool that can generate a lot of layers for creating the JPEG, and it's called Lipstick or something. And then you need to figure out, hey, how can I actually mint a Solana NFT? It's also a big question for a lot of creators. Like they need to learn maybe smart contract, on-chain programs. And it's really hard. I still remember early days, some creators will literally, there's no candy machine, which means the minter has to deposit some SOL to the wallet of creators, and then I don't know, a few hours later, the creators mint the NFT and then deposit and send it back to the minter. You can see a lot of error can happen during those days. And then the technology, like actually, I don't know how you guys feel like the technology for Solana NFT is exponentially more efficient. In minting, Candy Machine came out, our Magic Eden's Launchpad came out. We have all different kind of ways of minting, like different stages. You can pay SPL token. We even rolled out the dynamic minting for dynamic price, and then there's a Dutch auction and Bucky auction. There's so many different ways of minting. It's like the boom of technology. But then after that stage, I think the content generation creators, I think, focus a little bit more on the distribution. And distribution actually matters to a lot of people because now it's really easy to actually create your 10K collection or create some one-one art. But how would you let people know what you created? And I think OKBear did a really great job. Like the first week, every headline of the report is like OKBear is kind of like break the sound barrier. That distribution is what the magical moment for a lot of like creators. And as a platform, we try to do our best to help the creators to have more channels to distribute their content. But that's not enough, I think. And I still believe like to create a more kind of like higher sticky product and have more retention of the users, you need to think more about the cultural movement. And I always want to think crypto in general is like a store of value, store for like you transactional finance, but NFT is like a store of culture. Like you actually condense a lot of things into the NFT that actually represent your community. And if you can build that cultural movement, I think people will follow. Mm-hmm. And then we just need like more content creation like that. And that's why I think as a platform, we invest a little bit more on kind of category expansion. We did like a gaming stuff, and recently the real world assets, Pokemon cards, because these represent like some of the real world culture movement that we already know have product market fit. And why not move it to the own chain so that they can leverage more about the frictionless of the trading of those assets? Because, like for example, right now Pokemon cards, like trading on eBay, is just like a lot of friction. You need to pay eBay a lot of like transaction fees, versus tokenized transaction on Magic Eden is like almost like free to trade. So these 3 stages are kind of our philosophy of thinking about the generations and categorization of content generation.
And I think it's the best way to think about it is it's not a one-way approach. There's multiple layers to these things that lead to these decisions and these efforts. But we're almost at time here. It's been a great conversation as well. So I wanted to see if anyone had any closing thoughts before we wrap.
I think just for me, we're all building some kind of infrastructure, whether it's the digital tech side, whether it's the art and culture side, but it all genuinely just stops at the people that automatically use the tech. And I think moving forward, there is a big onus on the users of this technology, the holders of this technology, to help us break through the barrier. Now, we know that the space as a whole has been a bit of a tricky conversation recently, but there seems to be some recovery, there needs to be some excitement, but at some point we really need to start thinking, how can I not sound gibberish to the rest of the world? But again, it's only been 2 years. I think we've all been building, like the foundation, but it's just really important to empower the people and let them know that a lot of power is in their hands. Like, this whole thing lives and dies by the people that use it. So we need them to be, the voice of all the stuff that we create.
Oh, 100%. I think you're spot on. Max or Rex, anything you guys want to wrap with?
I would say definitely we're for the creators. We're here to empower the creators. I think there's two sides of the market, and the market doesn't there's no market without the creators. So if you are a creator, hit me up. I'm 0xMaz on Twitter. I'd love to work with you guys, and I just want to say thanks for coming.
And Rex, anything?
And I just wanted to sincerely thank all the creators that work endless hours, and I know how hard it is to be a founder of a project, and you need to deal with so many things. Discord, it's a really headache. I actually went through that with a lot of actually a lot of creators join Magic Eden because we get to learn a lot more from the operation side. But I want to thank you. Yes, sincerely thank you. Thank you for creating content so that we have NFT market. Thanks.
Absolutely, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I appreciate you guys rocking with us here. Shout out to everyone up here as well. Great conversation, and it was awesome, so thank you.
Thanks, Easy.